to you from underneath a peach blossom. It's time for an episode of Be Awesome. Find positivity throughout your life and work, just like our mascot rooster, Steve the Jerk.
Hello, Be Awesome listeners. You are in for the Christmas edition here. I am actually at the Christmas Farm Inn. This is my hideaway of hideaways. I think I've shared with you on one of the earlier episodes that my family and I have a couple of very predictable places that we go to and stay when we have time together. And we came up here for about a week to do some 2019 planning, as well as some family time that we're really excited about. And we've been coming up to the Christmas Farm Inn in Jackson, New Hampshire for the last 8 or 9 years, and it's really an interesting place. And over the last 3 days, the owner, or one of the owners, Gary Plourde, and his wife Sandra are the owners of the Christmas Farm Inn. They have been for the last 8 years. I got to talking to Gary, and I was able to convince him to come on one of my podcasts. So welcome, Gary, to the podcast.
Hi, Josh, and welcome back to the Christmas Farm Inn.
Thank you. We're excited for dinner with Mrs. Claus tonight. Tell a little bit about the Christmas Farm Inn, just what it is, and the property itself.
Well, in this area, the actual farm where the Christmas Farm Inn sits on now was one of the first granted pieces of land and first settled pieces of land in this whole area, and it was originally settled by Rufus Pinkham. And through the years, it was passed through the Pinkham family, and then other families, and then the Perkins family took it over in the mid 1850s and had it right up until 1941. And at that point, the Perkins sold it to a gentleman who gave it the farm to his daughter as a Christmas gift. So she called it her Christmas farm, and that name stuck. And then 1946, she then sold it to the Welch family, who wanted to make it a full-time, a year-round inn. So they called it the Christmas Farm Inn.
Yeah, I actually didn't know why they called it the Christmas Farm Inn all these years. I thought it might have been a Christmas tree farm, because it was a jail at one point. Part of this was it a jail or the courthouse in the town?
Yeah, it really has a rich history, and the oldest building is right adjacent to the one we're at now. We call it the Salt Box, and the front of that dates back to 1778, and that was the original full-time house. Typically they would settle a piece of land, build a combination dwelling and barn, share it with the animals, then work the land, cut the trees, make fields, whatever, to grow food, cut the lumber to make a larger house. And the larger house is the Salt Box at that time. So that was built in 1778. In 1786, they built the building that we're in now, the front of that, and that was expanded. So the Salt Box itself, I have a document that said it was a school. I have a document that says it was a jail and a post office. So, interestingly, we replaced all the windows and doors in the Salt Box building, and we got to an area where it was, everything else is wood, and we ran into like a really hard area. And what was that? And it was concrete. They had basically reinforced the windows, probably to put bars in, and now you don't see that, but it's still in the wall, and it was hard to work with to put the windows in. You had to like trim some stuff out, which is not like working with stone instead of wood. But yeah, so that was the Salt Box, and the main end building had also been expanded out as they were taking on more guests over the years, because even the Perkins took in summer guests. Before it was the Christmas Farm, it was Perkins Cottages and Perkins Farm, and so they expanded out, and they wanted to make this big addition. What they decided to do was go up and reclaim an old church that was abandoned, and they took that apart. It's all post and beam. They took it apart and they brought it down to the farm here, and they attached it to this building. And so the outside, when you see the A-frame,
Yep.
that is the first church of Jackson. It was a Free Will Baptist church. It was built in 1803, and then it was abandoned in 1840. And the story is it was abandoned because the villagers actually built a new church down in what is now the village, but they did that because the vicar, the minister, kept on forbidding people to come to his church because they weren't worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they eventually said, all right, we'll have our own church. And then that church was closed. So, and then eventually, 40 years after it closed, it was moved down here in 1881, I think.
Wow. And how many rooms and cottages do you have on the grounds now? It's massive. It's like 15, 20 acres is the total.
Right. We have 15 acres here. We also have a little piece of land down by the Jackson Falls on the river, the Wildcat River. So we have 15 acres that we work with here. There are 18 buildings in total, 13 customer facing. We have 41 units, what we say, because some of them are traditional in-rooms, and others are cottages with 2 bedrooms and a living room, or we have barn suites that can sleep 6 to 8 people. We have a carriage house with 12 suites and balconies, and then so 41 units in total.
Yeah, I remember the recording the first time I called. It was a quintessential New England. I can't remember the rest of it.
New England Inn.
Yeah, New England Inn. Yes, quintessential New England Inn, and this is a fantastic grounds and beautiful. But as we're talking about the history of this is a ton of work. I mean, this is not a state of the art brand new building with all different materials that'll last forever. This is, in some cases, like you say, you're replacing windows and doors. You don't know when the last time it had ever been done, or if it had ever been done before.
Yeah.
This has got to be a ton of work for you.
Oh, it is. The property actually has a mixture because some of the newer buildings was done in the carriage house, for instance, was built in 2000, and then the spa was put in 2004, the pool house in 2003. So there are some newer buildings, but interestingly, some of the older build stuff is so robust and solid. It's been here already a couple hundred years, and it'll last a lot longer.
Yeah.
They built them well. So and we have the restaurant and the pub. We have the barn where we do events, and the pool house. So it's a busy little business. So there's lots of things going on, and you throw a little weather like today, a little rain and ice. We prefer snow this time of the year, but there we go.
Yeah. Well, we are in the Mistletoe Pub enjoying a beer, and this is it's a neat little hideaway bar off the kind of the main lobby area, and you're right. It's pouring rain out. It's been pouring since later part of last night, and one of the things that's always intrigued me, and that I'm just so impressed and inspired by you is many people own businesses like this that are not active. And you and I joked about the gentleman that drove off the road last year and amazingly missed every single tree and wedged his car in between two with inches to spare. I mean, couldn't do it again if he wanted to. But countless times over the last 8 years, I found seeing you in the trenches. You were out this morning at 7 o'clock in our driveway, because we stay in the sugar house, which is one of the cottages, spreading dirt, spreading salt, sand, so that we wouldn't slip and fall on any icy patches. I mean, it was pouring out. I mean, you had to have been, soaked to the bones, even with rain gear on. But you're a very active owner, and in talking to you, you had it, as many would say, kind of made in the shade. You were up in the tower in the top floor, executive, could have rode right along, and instead, a couple of years ago, you decided to buy an old inn and take it over and run with it. Where did that kind of come from?
Well, so there's a little bit of Yankee in me already, because I grew up in Maine, and being a jack of all trades, a master of none is some of the things. We always did our own work around. We never hired people in at the house where I grew up. But yeah, I had a corporate life. It was fun. It was exciting. I think I have more fun being out in the shoveling snow in the winter than I do sitting in the office anywhere, even here. It's to be active in the business and the operation is the fun part of it all. And you get to meet the guests and spend more time with the different staff members and that. So it's rewarding. My ambition to kind of get into innkeeping was I had found myself in the hotel industry, and I started at a senior level in a head office, and I really decided I liked it. It was, it was nice people, nice properties. I get to travel around the world. All that was lots of fun. I thought, well, I want to stay in the industry, and if I was going to stay in the industry, I thought it would be best if I really learned it where the rubber meets the road, as they say. With the money's made in the properties. I work for international hotel chains, Marriott, Starwood, and whatever. And head office can be removed, but at the property, that's where everything happens. So I went to property level, which is kind of a, not the way most people want to go. They want to go up, not down. So I worked my way down in the business, and but that's where I learned, how it really happens and what's meaningful. At one point or another, I thought I was opening new hotels. I was repositioning existing hotels, working on strategy, helping making these places better. And at one point, I thought, well, why don't I do it one more time for myself, and then set myself up in a business. So I specifically looked for a business that was not doing well, that had all the charm and the attributes that we were looking for, and attributes also to be successful, and hopefully a history of being successful at one point. I found 204 places for sale in New England, and I researched all of them and shortlisted 22 and studied the financials and shortlisted that to 10. And I came over to see the 10. And interestingly, the Christmas Farm Inn was not one of those 10. But I had met a broker, and he said, look, this property is going to come up for sale. It's not on the market yet, but you might want to see it. I was living in Cape Town, South Africa at the time, so I was over here for a period of time. Mm-hmm. And he said, before you go back, come down and have a look. So I did, and then I met the owner the next day, and we started chatting. And 8 months later, we were here operating the Christmas Farm Inn. So.
Yeah, and I think we met just after you took over.
Yeah, I think it's the same year, right?
Yeah, it was the same year, August of 2010, I think it was.
Yeah.
We stayed at the Sugar House, and it wasn't a whole lot different back then, but it was different. It had a queen-size bed, and it was squeaky as all get out. It was probably as old as the oldest building here, it seemed like it. And I can remember I came into the Mistletoe pub. You were working the bar, and you asked how my stay was going, and not knowing who you were, and being the open guy that I am, you poured me a drink, and we started talking, and I told you about, that I thought it was great. It's a great location, fell in love with Jackson, but the bed was the most uncomfortable bed I had ever slept in, which is something in hotels or resorts or anything, you want to get a good night's sleep. And you had said that we know that, we're going to address that, and that's something we're planning to do in the upcoming year. And I remember leaving and having a great interaction with you, and I don't even know that I knew that you were the owner. You were just sharing with me what the plan for the year was. And I remember going home and thinking, I wonder if I'm just complaining, because I spend upwards of 80 to 100 nights in hotels, and typically they're the Starwoods, the Marriotts, the Hiltons, the newer hotels with fluffy beds and fancy robes and all that other stuff. And I just wanted to see if I was kind of nitpicky or difficult. And what I found was I went to the go-to TripAdvisor, which I've become a pretty avid user of, and I looked at your TripAdvisor reviews. And something that really caught my eye, because I was on the fence. We came here I don't know if it was a Groupon or there was something that there was some reason for us to check this out as kind of our go-to place for our summer vacations. And I remember just saying I needed to look to see if I was the only complainer, if there were a lot of other positive reviews, or what was it. So I went to TripAdvisor. I looked at every single review that was on there, and it was interesting. They weren't all positive. There were a number negative in the earlier days prior to you. But what I noticed was I could tell when you guys took over because you responded to your reviews. And it wasn't just the good reviews that people said, oh, I loved it and this was great. You addressed the negative stuff. And there wasn't anything like off the charts negative, but you addressed it all. You also addressed it to the point where the people that complained, you were very specific in some cases to say, we spoke to you, we thought we addressed this, we're sorry, call us and be open to this. That's very rare. In today's day and age of technology, companies, as the companies that you worked with, count on analytics and forecasting and business intelligence and artificial intelligence and, client life capacity. What are we going to have? Like, what is the likelihood that we're going to have this person over the next 10 years, regardless of what we do? And you guys sold me on that. Like, I came back the second year. We stayed at the log cabin, and we stayed at the North Pole, and we stayed at the what's the other one next to this? We were talking about it the other night.
Smokehouse.
The Smokehouse, which is absolutely fantastic. You've had us over the last 8 years a couple times a year. You probably know you got us for life. I mean, you can't get rid of us now, right? And there's no analytics. There's no anything behind that other than dedicated customer service. I'm sure you learned a lot of that. As many do in your previous life, but that commitment is very rare. What does that take for you guys to do it day in and day out?
Well, I think first of all you really have to care, and then everything else just falls into place. And you do your best, and we have so many repeat customers that come like you do. Sometimes some of them 6, 7, 8 times a year, and they see us out painting and fixing things and replacing things and whatnot, and they're an active participant in that. They see that and they like it, and they're like, yeah, good Gary and Sandra and and the team. And
pretty soon you're going to be seeing us pick up the paintbrushes and help you.
Yeah. Well, that would be nice. That would be great. Now, there's a lot of square footage to paint, and we are actively doing all these things, and we took over a business that was failed. So you can't do everything at once, and we did not have the money to do everything at once. But you look at what is the most important things, and what do you need to do now, and then just do that now. And then you have a plan for the other stuff, and when you finish one thing, you move on to another, and you keep on going. And every once in a while, something comes up that's unplanned, you deal with that too. So it's one of those things where if you care, you just engage. And we're devastated when people are not happy, and some people could be extremely unhappy about the littlest, most really insignificant thing, and that's what it is, and you deal with that. And a lot of people are tolerant of things that they really shouldn't be tolerant of, and we prefer to know what's happening. So if somebody has an issue, we want to know what it is. And then we can at least, address it or make a plan to address it. We have a team of people, and now it's something like 40. I guess it's 41 right now, so one per room. But they're engaged, and they report back to us too. And if something's not working, we understand that, and try to make it better. That's what we do.
Yeah, and let's talk about your team, because longevity and having people around for a long time, and those people caring as much or close to as much as the proprietors of a business is really hard to come by. But I got to tell you, Kathy and JP and Josh and they've been here since we started coming here, and they're not leaving. And you wouldn't know if they owned the property or if they have that much care into it. I mean, you don't have a lot of turnover, and that passion is not something that just people say, well, you either got it or you don't. But I think that's I mean, they're sipping some Christmas Farm Inn Kool-Aid. I mean, it's...
Well, I think there is an attraction, certainly to guests to come here, and I say to everybody, we just have fantastic customers, guests that stay with us, because most people get what we're about. We're not 5-star, or we're not the ultra, we're not a boutique hotel sort of thing, but we're a country inn, and kind of down to earth and real and authentic, and the people that appreciate that, they get us 100%, and then they're the ones who are our repeat people. Our employees are the same. It's not like we don't have employee turnover. People come and go for good reasons, and some for bad reasons, I guess. But we have a lot of people that stay, and we hire based on a value system, and we try, and hopefully they get it as well. And when they do, they're engaged with the customer in the way, they represent our business in a way. But more importantly, I think the business is them. They are part of it. They make it happen every day, and they feel like they're owners, and they're engaged, and they're wonderful to work with. And when all that happens like that,
Yeah, I mean, I have to say that this, for me, and while we might be fairly unique, 8 years, twice a year we come, and I'm going to book out for like the next 5 or 6 years, because I got a feeling more people are going to want to come up here, and I want to make sure that while promoting, I'm not sacrificing any of what I've grown accustomed to. So that slow week in August, and then the last week in December for Mrs. Claus is me for the next 5 years. But the commitment that I've seen here by your team finds me for the last 8 years. We've only had dinner somewhere else in 8 years, one night. We spend 5 or 6 nights. I mean, we got here Tuesday, and we've been in that restaurant every single night. We're there every single morning, and it's just a given. And a big part of that is, I mean, your staff.
Yeah.
We walk in, and whether it's Kathy or Jean Paul or Josh or I think JP, he's brought it down to JP now. Sorry about that, JP. But he whoever it is that's known us for a couple years welcomes us with open arms. They talk to us. They know our kids. They know if they know how much Danny's grown over the last 6-8 months. Yeah. It's not about the steak and potatoes. It's about the people, and that's what this is all about. And really, you're absolutely right. This, for me to tout and say, oh, this is the greatest, most luxurious, whatever, Ritz-Carlton or whatever you want to call it. It's not. I think it's better. And I think it's better because of the people. I think it's better because of the history. I think it's better when you have the most magnificent views I've had in the last 8 years. Was looking out the last 2 days and seeing Mount Washington, because a lot of times it's like today and it's overcast or there's snow coming down.
Right.
But
you have
some of the most magnificent views, and that hidden secret of the river is, our favorite spot in the world. But it's really about the people, and you guys have done a phenomenal job with it, and continue through even to this day. And that's tonight's event, which you guys hold. What is that, from November to December? Tell a little bit about that, because I think this is just one of the most unique, coolest things, and I can't do it justice in describing.
Right. So I think it's now 28 years or so. They started a literacy foundation called Believe in Books, and that was to help promote good reading and literacy in the western Maine, northern New Hampshire, northeastern Vermont area, and so money's being raised all the time throughout the year. And in the wintertime, we have an event that the Christmas Farm Inn was a founding sponsor of back 28 years ago. And at the time, it was called the Polar Express. And it was a reenactment of the book, and most people have seen the movie, I'm sure. And that was the reenactment. Well, once all the rights were sold off by the author to the movie companies, they were no longer able to call it Polar Express, so they call it now Journey to the North Pole. Mm-hmm. And it's a slightly different thing, but it's just a wonderful experience. And what happens is, families come up for the weekend, and they come up to the Christmas farm, and they have an event on one night in the barn, which the barn also dates back to 1786. It's post and beam, big fireplace.
Massive Christmas tree.
Yeah, it's pretty. we bring it in. It's normally, four people that bring in the Christmas tree, and there's a little secret route. And most people don't understand how we get the Christmas tree in there, and I wonder if you can, but we'll have to have a look at that tonight when you're in there. So they come in, they have this event. We have Mrs. Claus come in, and we support the literacy program, and we choose a different book every year. And Mrs. Claus reads the book to all the children that go there and the families. And there's lots of fun and gifts and things like that too, and dinner. But it's a special occasion here, and the kids love it. And then the other night they go to North Conway, to the old train station there, which is a really nice old train station. And they get on a train, and they go to a theater in the woods, and it's called the Theater in the Woods. Which is like a big igloo, mm-hmm. and that's the North Pole. It sits up on a hill, so they get off the train and they walk up this big long path, and there's all these hundreds of elves hanging around there, greeting everybody and creating the buzz. And then you walk up the path, and you eventually go in, and then there's a Christmas story telling and some singing and all that. So you expect it to be a family event for sure, because mm-hmm. it's a great experience for families and little kids and things like that. But we have a lot of adults that go there and do the whole thing without bringing any kids. They just want to do it, and so that's kind of a fun part too. But so we do every weekend from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Most years it's 5 weekends, some it's 4. And then it's a great program, and it helps fund the. It's the biggest fundraiser for that literacy program, Believe in Books.
Yeah, which is phenomenal. I mean, you're doing something good, and you're providing a great experience. I will tell you that this is our, I think, 5th or 6th year. You've got a wait list. I mean, we're fortunate that we got on the list our first year in, and it took like 2 years for us to get an invite from the previous, to get to the openings, because you give a first right refusal once you get in. I think for folks to get on that list, because it's so sought after. And I know that our first year we came up, we always do the dinner on Friday and the train ride on Saturday, and it never gets old. I mean, it hasn't changed a lot, but it never gets old. Yeah. And I can tell you that if our kids ever do move out, we'll probably still come up here. But they probably won't, and they'll want to come up here as adults, because it really is. It is. If you ever want to see a real life Hallmark movie, we were just talking about this earlier. It's Jackson, New Hampshire. I mean, from the sleighs with the Christmas or the chocolate tours, the sleigh rides through downtown, and the Nestle Nook Farm. We did the 1-horse open sleigh ride last night in the snow. I mean, when it's white and snowy out, this is a Hallmark movie. But we came up Friday. We would drive up Friday, rush to get dinner, go to the train ride Saturday, and leave Sunday morning. And now we've made it so that we show up here midday Tuesday, don't do anything we don't have the dinner until Friday. We fill it in with all this other stuff, and then we do the train ride Saturday, and we go to Santa's Village on Sunday and make our way home, because it's really just an incredible Christmas experience, holiday experience, a New England tradition experience. I mean, this is taking you back a step in time, and you guys just do a phenomenal job, all while helping worthy causes, which is great. So
Thank you.
So good for you on doing that. Besides being a phenomenal singer, by the way, I don't want to give it away to anybody, but if anybody's up here midweek and you happen to be in the improv downtown, one of the singing spots. Any hobbies, anything that you like to do in your spare time? I mean, this place is probably keeping you busy 100 hours a week, but singing's definitely got to be your passion.
Well, we're actually here. It is. I mean, it's one of the things. I am a songwriter, and I sing. I play the guitar a little bit, but the reason that we're here in the first place, we were living in Cape Town, South Africa, and which was a pretty nice place to live. It's wonderful, and the odd thing is, of course, the different hemisphere. Christmas is sunny and 85 degrees, and everyone's wearing shorts, and it doesn't have that same sort of Christmas feeling, as the northern hemisphere and the snow and the Christmas markets and things like that. My wife is from Europe, and she really did not like Christmas down there and wanted to have a winter experience, and we had decided we wanted to have an inn, so we were looking in New England in particular. So when I found the Christmas Farm Inn, and I called and I said, Google Christmas Farm Inn. Mm-hmm. When she was in South Africa, I was here. I said, this is where I stayed last night. Google this name, and she goes, you got to be kidding! No way, And so we ended up moving here. So we love the winters. We love all the seasons. I grew up in Maine, so 4 seasons is just it's always exciting to wait for the new season to come. But what do I do? What do we do? We ski. We downhill ski. We cross country ski, classic and skate skiing. We do a little bit of hiking. I used to do a lot of hiking, and not as much, but mountain biking in the area, in spring, summer, and fall. When you have a moment around here, if you can just go for a drive, it's inspirational. You see the views and the mountains, and we go to waterfalls. Just if you haven't been to one, just pick one out and go explore. It's certainly a health element to it, but a spiritual element too. It just makes you feel good when you see all that. And fall foliage is a wonderful time here. So we kind of do everything. North Conway has 2 theaters, the Eastern Slope Theater and M&D Productions. And so my children have been in a number of plays, mm-hmm. That are not school plays, but kind of professional plays. And they're involved in the different teams, soccer and skiing and whatnot. So, we're busy with lots of different things, mm-hmm. But we enjoy every aspect of the 4 seasons.
Cool. Now, you said you hiked. I think I shared with you the other night that I attempted to climb a 14er in Colorado, and one of the things I'm working to think about doing is hiking Mount Washington. Have you done that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, and it's nowhere near as tough as a 14,000 footer. But one of the things that people don't appreciate is that the weather up here in Mount Washington can change really quickly. So you just have to be prepared. And most of the year that you don't have to worry about it so much. But in the winter, you just have to be prepared.
Yeah.
And I'll hike Mount Washington with you.
All right. Well, maybe we'll figger that out. We'll work it on August. Yeah, we'll make a plan. We'll make it work. I'd love that. I'm looking for some company there, because God knows I'm probably not the best to go up in the mountains by myself. I had a guide, my buddy Aaron, helped me out in October. We're gonna do that hike again in April. I think is the timeline for that, and I think I'll be ready in prime condition to maybe hike Mount Washington. Well, this has been absolutely great. I appreciate you giving the time. Is there anything that I missed? How can people get a hold of you? Where can they find more information about Christmas Farm Inn, or where can they look for you?
Yeah, well, we're open 365 days a year, so we're always open. And ChristmasFarmInn.com. That's the best way. There's more information on the website. And you can join the mailing list if you want to have, we do periodic offers and things like that as well. But just
Facebook. You got anywhere else on social?
Yeah, everywhere.
Okay. Everywhere on social.
Pretty
Good.
Much everywhere.
Good.
So.
Everywhere on social. And you guys just got voted one of the what was your most recent award? Something, was it weddings or there was?
Yeah, we've won like with a knot, we're in the top tier nationwide of wedding venues. We've won best family resort in New England and a whole bunch of different accolades. We're number one on TripAdvisor for food in this area in Jackson, but in the top 15 in all of the White Mountains, which is like 400 some odd restaurants. So there's yeah. But we try to keep it simple, and we don't seek all the accolades.
Well, congratulations! I saw an award somewhere, and I figured you probably got a whole bunch of them. So, congratulations! So, ChristmasFarmIn.com, social media. Give you guys a call, ask questions. The rooms are all very different. That's something that I always tell people when they talk to me about, booking up here, is make sure that you ask the room and get some information, because some are small, some are big, some are the cottages and cabins, and some have balconies like the newer buildings. So just make sure that you know what it is that you're reserving and what you're getting, because it isn't a square box on a piece of land that all of the rooms are the same.
Right. There's, they are all different, and some rooms will have take 2 people, and then some will take 6 or 8, and we have like these a lot of the girl weekends. They come up, they go shopping, and they do adventure stuff together, and so it's good for little small groups like that as well. So Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, Gary. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate Sandra and your whole team, because, a lot of times it's overlooked as to what it is that you're providing, other than, a roof over people's heads and food on plates and things like that. But what you're providing for families like ours is time away, time spent, enjoyment, relaxation, all the things that keep people like me going throughout the year to look forward to these times like this. And it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference in how we appreciate each other, how we appreciate what we're doing, just life in general. So keep up the great work and keep doing what you guys are doing. I look forward to countless more years coming back up here and spending with you guys. And it's been great becoming friends with you over the years, from complaining about a squeaky bed to going down to Hoot Night on Tuesday. So really appreciate you making time for me today. And that'll do it from up here in beautiful Jackson, New Hampshire. Really appreciate everyone's commitment to the Be Awesome podcast, to the mission, to buying T-shirts. We're selling T-shirts. I'm finalizing where the money's going to go for 2019, but we have a couple of really exciting ideas on helping homeless and foster kids. We actually raised over $1,700. Alaska ASBO, which is an organization I delivered a keynote in Anchorage after my meeting with Santa Claus 2 weeks ago in the North Pole. That group was phenomenal. Bought a bunch of T-shirts, rounded up, and we got another $200 going up to the Fairbanks Youth Advocates group to help their mission and their cause. And in the meantime, any money raised in T-shirt sales, $3 of every shirt's being earmarked, set aside, and going to go towards our next commitment of helping kids, because that's what it's all about: making a difference, making people smile, and giving opportunity that those that have the talent and want to get a chance to use it. So Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. As always, you can find me anywhere on social media, beawesome.com, beausm.com. Josh at beawesome.com is my email address. Feel free to drop me a line, tell me how I'm doing. And I did put an offer out yesterday on social for the next 6 people. Once we get to 30 reviews, that's what I want to get, is 30 reviews on iTunes. Do a rating and review. If I can't tell who you are, drop me an email with your address information. We've got coffee mugs, 20-ounce Be Awesome, massive coffee mugs. I've got 3 left, so if you get this and you do a review and you send me your email and address, I will send you a coffee mug. And if by chance it's filled, I'll find something else to give to you, because you giving me your time to do a rating and review is worth something, and it should be worth something awesome. So in the meantime, in order to do awesome, you got to be awesome. Happy holidays, everyone.